everybody. Thanks for listening to Mysterious Woods. I am your host, Anne.
And Big Dog,
What's up, big dog?
what's happening?
Nah, not much. Same old, same old. You know how it is.
You trying to avoid the coronavirus?
Not so much.
You're not running around with your mask.
I do if they require me to wear it, but otherwise, no.
I just went into HEB and I got one of those scary, like I guess it's like a scary clown mask with like fangs. And it looks crazy. It's black and white, so I feel like a rebel walking around with that bad boy in the store. Everybody looks at me, she's like, "What? A fat clown?"
Kenny has one as well. It's a clown face with an evil grin.
Oy. What?
Yeah, he loves it. Well,
Well,
I think anyway, I think we are going to talk about our experiences, are we not?
might as well. That way people know who we is and where we comes from.
Who we is, who we
Yep.
be's,
Who we be.
as long as they don't
What
know
we
where we
be.
stays.
Yep. Don't come to our house.
Unless you want to see Bigfoot.
Yeah. You got Bigfoot in your yard.
Yes, I do. And we're going to get into that later. So I think my story is probably 10 times longer than yours, and I will do my best to cut it down. Otherwise, it would most likely be I don't know, a 2 hour story.
Wow. Well,
Well,
we can do the first episode with you and then the second one with me.
well, I mean, I'm going to try my best to cut it down. But yeah, I just want to go over lightly, what's happened around here in the past, what's still happening. And,
Yeah.
yeah, do you want to go first and tell yours?
Well, I guess I could. Let's see.
Excellent.
I guess it all started one day when I was flipping through Facebook and I saw one of my cousins that I didn't really know that well, and he's kind of an outdoorsy guy, and he's posing uh, next to a Bigfoot track in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that, I was like, I I sent him I put, is that a Bigfoot track? And he immediately PM'd me. He's like, hey man, what do you know about Bigfoot and all this stuff, And I was like, man, I don't know nothing about Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot's cool. So then I started asking him a bunch of questions. I was all interested in, where was that picture taken and blah blah blah. And then he was like, well, I know some guys out in Texas that got a couple game cams, and they run, check them out every month. They go change the batteries and do SD cards. And he invited me if I wanted to go. And man, I've always wanted to go Bigfoot hunting. Well, I don't want to use the word hunting because I wasn't trying to kill it. Um, Bigfooting, squatching,
Right.
going squatching. That's what I want to use. So, uh, I was like, heck yes. So I probably was annoying him all week, asking him, "Hey, should I bring this?" Because I haven't been in the woods since I was, younger. My dad was an outdoorsy guy, and he passed away when I was like 11. So I was probably in my 30s already or whatever. So it's been a while since I've been in the woods. So I kept saying, should I get these boots or should I get? And he dealt with me. He was real patient with me, and finally he comes to pick me up, and I look like a tactical fat ninja nerd when he comes to pick me up. I mean, when I say that, I'm wearing like brand new combat boots. I mean, I didn't even wear them yet. Fresh out of the box, straight to my feet. I got black pants on, them tactical pants with the pockets all on the side. And I got me one of those shirts, the long sleeve shirts that when I guess you sweat, it starts to cool you down or whatever. Because I
Mhm.
knew it was going to be hot. He said it's going to be hot, but for some reason I thought being dressed all in black was cool. Because that was kind of my style. I always wore black. I still do. But yeah. So he comes to pick me up. He's kind of looked at me like, "Man, you're gonna regret that decision." And I went and bought me like a cheap video camera and all kinds of, like cheap equipment, went to Walmart and bought a bunch of junk. So we head out there and we meet I can use names, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first time I meet Brandon. Brandon
Mhm.
Brandon G, we'll say, because I don't have really his permission or whatever, but I'm sure he won't mind. We meet him, and this is the first time I ever laid eyes on him, and he loves this story because as soon as he gets out of his car, uh, the
I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
oh, he loves it when I tell that story, and I'm like, hell to the no, let's go, cause I don't really know my cousin that well either. So I'm like, this is your friend, I'm kind of like whispering. He's like, nah, he's cool, he's cool. I was like, and he's got a machete on his belt. He's got like another knife, and he's got like a fillet knife, and he's got this camouflage cam cowboy hat. And yeah, he was looking really scary.
In other words, he hasn't changed.
No, no, he hasn't. He hasn't. He still looks scary.
Yeah. That's not what I meant, in case Brandon's listening. I
But
meant the camouflage hat and the knife and all of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So uh we head out, and it's my cousin and his son riding in the car, and Brandon's we're following him. And we finally get to where we're going. We head out. We're in Cold Spring. We pull over to the side of the road, and I was like, where's the parking lot? There's no parking lot. We just pull over and get out. So my first thoughts were, because I had my CHL, I had uh, two of my biggest guns that I could carry. I had a really nice 45 Kimber on one side, a 1911, and then on the other side I had I think it was a Sig 45. Yeah, I mean, these things weighed a ton anyway. So I got them on. I went in there cowboy style, and I get out of the car, and right before we walk in, I just kind of, like, hey, I'm the biggest, baddest dude here. I'm armed to the teeth. I'm pretty huge, pretty big guy. I've been in lots of bar fights. I really ain't scared too much of nobody. I'm, I've did a little cage fighting, believe it or not, and yeah, so I was pretty confident in myself, and we walk around, and I'm tripping out on all the trash at first. There was like a bumper in the middle of nowhere,
Mhm.
just sitting in the woods. And man, we get to walking, and it is hot, hot. And man, we walked, I would say maybe about 2 to 3 hours, and we found a print in the middle of the woods. But it was just one print, and I was that kind of, like, why is there just one print
Yeah.
sitting here? That doesn't make sense.
Well, it does for a one-legged Bigfoot.
I mean, there was no track going away, no track coming in, nothing, just one. And I'm thinking, did these guys put that there? I think they're gonna mess with me
Mhm.
because I'm the new guy. I think
Mhm.
maybe my cousin said, "Yo, B, we gotta mess with my other cousin because I'm gonna bring him with us. He looks like a big tactical ninja."
They're taking you snipe hunting.
Yeah, let's see if we can make him put some Hershey's Kisses in his pants. So then, so I got a little suspicious on that. I mean, and it could have been a real print. They were pretty fascinated with it. They're taking pictures, blah blah blah, all impressed. But I kind of thought it was an act. Like, all right. So we get to walk in for a little further out, and by the, I don't know, fourth hour, I'm starting to think, yo, this kind of sucks. It's hot. I'm not in good shape to be walking around. And all of a sudden, we're kind of like talking and laughing and cutting jokes and saying a bunch of stuff. And we're not being quiet by any means. And my cousin's kind of on point. He's leading us. And he starts saying, yo, there's one right there. And he's trying to work his camera. He's got his camera wrapped, like the strap around his neck. He's trying to turn it on. And he just runs straight at it. And I'm sitting back there going, here we go. Here's the show. This is a part where they come out and scare me. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not a good idea because they know that I'm heavily armed.
Right.
And I said, this is kind of stupid just to really scare me or jump out at me or do something. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, these guys are playing a joke on me. There's no way, who's going to run after a Bigfoot? So my cousin does. My cousin will. So he's running towards this bush so what he saw was a silhouette, like the shape, the head, the shoulders, and the arms behind this bush, and it ducked straight down. And so he wanted to take a picture. It didn't work. He ran at it. And I'm thinking, yo, this is crazy. This is it's gonna jump out. So while he's running out of that same bush that he's running towards, I see this big old hand coming out really slow. And then it grabs the tree, and I'm like, whoa, that's a big hand. So I slowly start going down to the wrist. I'm looking at the wrists, and I'm looking at the forearm. There's black hair on it, really shiny, clean looking hair. And then I'm getting past the elbow, and it's a pretty big arm. Well, my cousin's still running at it, and whatever it was sort of stood up, but not all the way up, not straight up like a person would. It was slumped over, kind of, like
Right.
leaned forward, but it turned its back toward me. I never saw the face. I never saw, the front of it. All I seen was something spin around. It came up and then it went straight back down. I didn't understand what it was doing at that time, but when I started listening to shows and listening to their behavior, what it did was it stood up, turned around, and went on all fours and ran off. But it did not make, as big as it was, it didn't make one sound. I didn't hear a leaf move. I didn't hear a stick break. I didn't hear anything. But I know that it pushed off on that tree, and the tree sort of moved. It kind of wiggled. That's one thing that I remembered it. And yeah, and like in the movies when something runs really fast through the woods, the trees kind of rock back and forth and then go back to their position.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but there was zero sound. And you would think that it would sound like a monster truck driving through the woods, crushing everything, and real clump. This thing did not make one peep. And I saw, and I was just like, oh my God. How the hell did they do that? I'm like, wait a minute. No, 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 no. I'm arguing with myself. I said, no, no, this is because he said there's one right there. My brain is playing a joke on me. I'm filling in the blanks. This is a suggestive thought. And my cousin starts walking back, and I'm like, you know what? Ask him what color it was, and hopefully he says brown, pink, yellow, anything but black. Please don't say black. And he's like, and everybody kind of noticed that I wasn't my self. I was just kind of like thinking really hard, where I was not talking. I was really like concerned at this moment because uh, I even told Brandon I want to go home, and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Shut up, dude. You kind of sound like a wimp right now." And I said, "Just ask your cousin what he saw, and if he says if it lines up, then you saw what you saw." And I'm like, "Hey, cousin, what color was it?" He goes, "It was black." And man, my heart just sunk. And I had this look on my face, and everybody's like, "Why? What's wrong?" And I said, "Man, I saw it." And they're like, "What?" "Yeah, I saw it. It turned around and it ran off." And they were like a bunch of guys that were so proud of me, but like a bunch of guys that finally got their little brother laid. They were like, "Yeah, all right, he saw one." I was like, "No, no, 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 guys, no. I want to go home." And they're like, "What?" I want to go home. So that big badass guy that walked into the woods before, I don't know where he went, because he was not me no more. I was that little kid that was scared of the dark. And that was just like a horrible feeling. I mean, I was so scared. I was bothered by it. And the last thing I thought of, and a lot of people always ask me, "Why didn't you shoot it?" or "Why didn't you do this?" That was the last thing I even thought of. I froze. I literally froze. I was so scared. I didn't move from where I was at. Everybody was running in circles and trying to chase it down or whatever, running this way. One guy's running that way. I don't know what they were doing. I never done this stuff before. This is my first time. And I just was ready to go, and they're like, "All right, man, you got to get it together." And I was like, "No, man, let's just turn around and leave." And they're like trying to talk me out of it. "Hey, come on, guy, just get it together. We just got to check one more camera. It's not that far. We'll get there, and then we'll go home." I was like, "All right. I mean, I'm kind of big for you guys to drag out of here." And then I don't know why Brandon thought it was a good idea. He starts digging through his phone and starts showing me pictures of these things on his phone. I'm like, "Yo, I don't want to see that. I want to leave. I don't want to see them. I don't want to know nothing about these things anymore." And he's like, "Oh, all right, man. I'm sorry about that." I was like, "Man, this is." And then he starts telling me stories. I mean, it just like the dude ain't never said nothing to me until I saw that. Now all of a sudden he's Mr. Information and he's pouring it out. And I was like, "Bro, where were you earlier? Why do you gotta let?" I mean, it was like, I don't know. I just wasn't ready for that yet. you know. And they finally get me settled down, and they're like, "All right, man, just calm down. We're gonna check out this other spot." And I was like, "All right." Now all these guys are in shape, ex-military. These guys used to hike for miles and miles, so this ain't nothing for them. Me, I only walk to the buffet, or I don't really do exercise and stuff like that. So they were leaving me behind. And and I was trying my best because I didn't want to be that guy. But I quickly was becoming that guy. So we finally made it to the other camera, and we were walking. Before we got there, we made it to one of those pipelines where it's clear. They figured it'd be easier for me, which it was. But the worst thing about it is now the sun is beaming on me, and I'm like, "Y'all smell that? I smell fajitas." Nope, it was me cooking. I was literally cooking that day. So we finally make it to the other camera, and my head is on a swivel, man. I'm looking here, looking there, and they're making fun of me. Look at them, look at them. Like, hey man, calm down, cuz the thing is gone. It's already half probably on the other side of the world by now. That thing was fast. And I'm like, oh man, this is freaky, man. I just want to go. I feel like it's still around or it's looking at us or whatever. And they're like, no, no, it's gone. And then they're sitting there talking about how to reposition the cameras and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, y'all said we was gonna go after y'all changed these batteries. And they're like, dang, calm down, dude. I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to go. They're like, all right, all right. So they get everything set up and they're like, cool down, drink some water. I was like, no, 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 let's go. I'm like, damn, all right. So we start walking back down to the pipeline, and these guys smoke me. They leave me way behind. And I'm thinking, man, what a bunch of jerks. Can't believe they're doing this. I'm the fat guy they're leaving behind. And by that time, crack, snap, a twig on my left side start breaks. And I'm thinking, whoa, whoa, okay. Maybe that was nothing. Maybe that's my imagination. There goes that suggestive thought again. And then I'm walking, and I got my shirt over my head. I had two shirts on. I had that one that catches the nice breeze whenever you sweat, and then I had a t-shirt on over it. So I took the t-shirt off and I soaked it in water and I put it on my head, so my peripheral vision was gone now because I'm trying to cool down with a hot black shirt. Figure that one out. So they start leaving me behind. I mean, I could see them, but they're tiny now. And I'm thinking, man, these guys are, I can't believe they're doing this to me. And pop, snap, crunch. And I was like, uh-oh, there's something on my left. So I stopped walking and I don't hear anything no more. So I just like turn around, it's like peek to my left. I move the shirt out of my way and kind of look. I don't see anything there. Oh, I'm like, maybe it's my imagination. So I start taking a couple more steps and it starts taking a couple more steps. And I'm like, Joe, there's something there. I don't want to look because I don't want to see it now. So I start mall walking, old lady mall walking towards them guys. And I guess I got this look on my face because they all turn around. They kind of do that double take. They kind of, I'd see them turn around and check on me every now and then. But I guess I had a whole different look on my face this time. It wasn't that tired guy no more. It was this, scared dude coming up behind him, mall walking. And they're like, oh, whoa, they stop. And then I'm like, yo, there's something on this side. It was is walking with me, and they go, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's paralleling you. That's what they do." And I'm like, "All right, guys, I need to know everything you guys know about these things because I feel like every time something happens, y'all are like, "Oh yeah, they do that," or, you know, I need to know. So they're like, "Oh man, just you need to relax because you're getting kind of like you need a Snickers right now. You're getting a little pissy with everybody right now because I don't know nobody. I'm starting to, Mr. Nice Guy's gone. So I'm being a little bitchy with my brand new boots that are killing my feet. I'm burning up with all these black clothes on. So they're like, all right, check this out. My cousin says, me and Brandon are going to go get the car. You stay here with my son. And when you feel better, just keep walking down this pipeline till you hit the main road. It's like, oh, all right. So I unzip my boots. I'm drinking some water, and I'm kind of asking my cousin, what got him into this, uh, subject, and he tells me this crazy story about stuff that happened to him in Washington, and how he lived out on this kind of like log cabin out away from everybody, and he would hear a lot of vocalizations further out, and I'm like, really? I'm getting all into his story. Then he says there's one day where these things come around that cabin and they were standing on the other side of the wall yelling at and scaring he had his dogs with him. They're scaring the dogs, and I was getting all into the story. I was like, really? Wow. And then by that time, on the right side of us, there was this like weird whistle. And I guess he heard it before, because when he heard it, he jumped up and drew his gun. And I was like, okay. I guess we're doing this now. So I start zipping up my boots and I go, I feel great. Let's start moving. And he's like, yeah, come on, move, move. And I'm like, all right. But I still didn't draw my weapon yet because I didn't feel like I needed to. But I mean, that was still the last thing on my mind. So when we start walking towards the road, we're getting paralleled on both sides now. And they're letting us know. They're crunching, they're making lots of noise. And my cousin doesn't want to talk anymore. He wants to move, keep going. And I mean, he feels really threatened right now. And uh I'm walking as even faster than I was before. I don't know how well, you can do amazing things when you're scared,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't just me that was scared, it was him that was scared too. So that kind of gave me the initiative to step on it, to move. So we walked, and the closer we got to that main road, they seemed to back off. And I could start hearing cars now, and they're starting to back off, and I see the road, and I run over there in the middle of the road, and I get down on my hands and knees and give that road a big old kiss, because I was safe now, or I felt a lot better because it sounded like they were gone. And I leaned up on a tree, and I probably waited about 15 minutes before my cousin showed up. And he finally does. And, he pops his trunk open. He's still the same way. He always carries ice chest with him with bread and meat and, makes sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
He's he starts opening the trunk. He's like, "Hey, anybody want a sandwich?" I'm like, "No, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. We gotta move, dude." He's like, "Hey, but I'm hungry. I gotta eat." And I was like, "Man, you know what? Make me a sandwich, but we gotta go." So, so everybody's got a sandwich in their hand. We're driving off, and yeah,
Do you
that
feel like you were being escorted out?
that's exactly what they were doing, because now it was coming from both sides.
Yeah.
When I sat down and chilled, and then it seemed like whatever was on the right side whistled to the one on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think my cousin heard that before, um and he reacted to it, and I was like, okay, maybe this is one of those things that they're gonna be like, oh yeah, they whistle too. No, I don't want to wait for all that explanations. We need to roll. So
When
yeah.
you first saw it, do you feel like you were able to, even though it didn't stand straight up and it went on all fours, but do you feel like that you would be able to determine its height just from the little bit that it was standing up?
It was pretty massive. I mean, I guess the thing that scared me
Mm-hmm.
is that I know that if we had to go hand to hand, I was probably gonna die. Because I
Wow.
mean, I've gotten fights with dudes bigger than me
Mm-hmm.
and never felt like I was gonna die. I felt like if me and this guy were to knuckle up, that I was probably just gonna get folded in half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was gonna even do anything to it.
Have you ever, well, there's a lot of stories that I've heard on other shows about people seeing lights or orbs in the woods. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, I I've well, with Brandon and his family were going out, and they called me up one day or one night, and they're like, "Dude, there's some weird lights in the woods." And I was working, during, you know how my schedule is. When I'm working,
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I'm like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. Lights, probably light bugs. There's got to be an explanation for it. So he's like, no, man, this is so weird. We got lights floating around. They're moving from tree to tree. They're doing this, this, and that. I'm like, oh, okay, okay. Let me get out there and I'll check it out. And by that time, I had bought me this night vision goggles, and there it was a toy, like the I Spy toy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they worked pretty good because the only weak link on those things was the IR. So
Mhm.
if you could get like a better IR light, like a better high end one, you could see
Mhm.
pretty good. And so I got that. I was starting to get heavily into starting to buy stuff and starting to get better equipment. And sure enough, I went out there and we walked around. It was me, Brandon, Travis, and Bob was out there too. So we were walking around, and it took a little while, and then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, these lights started appearing in the woods. And I'm thinking, the first one I saw, I'm like, that's got to be a cell phone tower. It was like a green light that was flashing, and then I could see a red light that was flashing. And I was like, bro, those are just cell phone towers or whatever. What are y'all looking at? And so then, first thing I do is I get on a Google Maps, where you can see the satellite view, with the,
Mhm.
the trees and everything. I start looking for satellites. I mean, for those cell phone towers, and I start looking for any structures that might be nearby. And there's really nothing out that way in that direction that we were looking at. And so I started turning on my camera, and I think I do have footage of this um, encounter. I gotta look because I got hard drives full of stuff.
Mhm.
So a lot of it's just worthless. Me walking around breathing like Darth Vader because I'm fat. It's embarrassing, but uh, so and then I started reviewing a lot of footage, and then I started like, geez, who's that breathing? And it's me. So I put the camera down. I stopped doing that. I stopped recording because of that. But so I was trying to record these lights and I really couldn't see them through the camera. So what I did was I got this idea to put that spy night vision IR camera in front of it, in front of the video camera. And man, it worked. You could see lights and they're lower than the tree line, they're underneath, the top. So these are in the woods, and I'm starting to freak out. I'm like, dude, y'all guys are for reals. And it I was so excited and so freaked out by this. Me and Brandon were literally running towards these lights because now there was more lights. And it looked like people walking around with flashlights, but the flashlights weren't putting light uh on like tree, putting they weren't lighting up the ground. They weren't lighting anything up. So it was
Right.
like it's you know what I mean? It was just the
Yeah.
light, but it wasn't shining on the trees or anything. So there wasn't projecting onto anything.
Right.
And I was like, man, we got to catch this guy. He's right over there. We was start running, and right when we were about to get on top of this, whatever it was, it would move, and it did that twice. And the second time, I got this chill down my spine that said stop, and I stopped. And even Brandon, I don't know if we felt it at the same time, but because he wanted to stop and I stopped, and I go, man, I don't know, whatever this is not what we think it is. It's not a person. So we stopped chasing it, and so we need to go back. When we turned around, it looked like there was people all around us with flashlights, and we couldn't tell which ones was Travis and Bob, but we knew they were there. And their mom came, and she was in the truck, and I was like, man, I don't know which lights we're supposed to walk towards. And I told him, call your mom. And he called her up. I think this is all on video too. He called her up, and I told her to flash her lights. And she started flashing the lights on the truck. And that's how we knew what direction to go. And we walked towards that way, and we found our way back. But it was so confusing how many lights were in that area. And then I was like, what is that? And I started posting about it, and people were giving me a hard time, how Bigfooters are.
Yes.
They're like,
Hey, wait a
oh,
minute.
dude, it's
Yeah.
just light bugs. It's just this, it's that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I promise it wasn't that. And then I got a message from a Native American lady, and she was like, and I wrote this whole story. Everything I just told you, I wrote down and posted it. Details, everything. And then this lady was like, you should never, ever, ever, never, ever chase after those things, because, I guess there's superstition was like I forgot what she was calling them, but they basically lead you away from your tribe or whatever, and
Right.
you end up missing, or you get
Yeah.
hurt somehow, or something bad will happen to you if
I've
you.
heard that before.
Yeah, so that's what she told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And she like promised me you won't do that, and I mean, I'm like, I don't really know you, but okay, I promise I won't chase after him. And so I told my cousin about it, and he had the same reaction I did when I first heard about it. He's like, "Cuz, what are y'all doing out there? Are y'all guys eating mushrooms? What are y'all doing?" And I was like, "Cousin, I said the same thing you're saying right now. I didn't believe it." So he's like, all right, I'll go over there and I'll figure it out. I was like, cool. Um, I think I couldn't make it when he went out. And he went out, and he does, he's ex-military, so he knows how to map stuff out and figure out,
Hmm.
where the light is coming from, and all this stuff. And I forgot what he calls it, but it's something military terms where they can figure out where the light is and how far and all that stuff. He'll probably get mad at me for not knowing what he said.
We'll have him on the show and he can clarify.
Yeah, so he went out there and he did just what he said. He went out there at night. He didn't really walk too far in there. He just kind of figured out on the map where all these lights were, or where they were coming from. And he went out the next day, and he walked to where all those lights were, and there was nothing there. And he he contacted me. He was like, "Holy crap, dude. There's something weird going on."
Were all of the lights white?
They were different colors. There was some that were, like I said, there were some green ones and some red ones,
Mm,
and there was some that even changed, but they weren't like super white. They were more of I guess, a orangey,
yeah.
yellowy type that looked like an old broke up flashlight. Like the old school flashlights that people use.
Yeah.
That's what it mostly looked like.
They were that small.
Some of them were big. They were all different sizes.
Like how big? What's the biggest one?
I would say basketball was probably the
Wow.
biggest. Yeah. And see, the thing is I couldn't tell if that was close or if it was far. Maybe they were all the same size, just different distances, and made
Right.
them look bigger or smaller. So there's that. I'm
That's possible.
still trying to figure that out, but yeah, it was not cool. And I Bob was pretty freaked out about him for a while, and I used to beg him, please, let's go back, let's go back. He never wanted to go. He was like, oh damn. And I would never stop asking, and he'd finally be like, all right. So we went back, and this was the last time I ever went back there, because he took me a couple times, and this last time that we went was kind of really freaky.
Mm-hmm.
So we went. I see the lights, and I'm just sitting there, just staring at them, like, what could they be? What are they doing? You know, they're moving through the trees. It's really weird. And I turn around, and there's some coming up behind us. And Bob, being ex-military, did not like that at all.
Right.
He's like, we need to go. And I felt the same way. I was like, yeah, let's go. So we ended up leaving, but yeah, that was the last time.
And it was the same color lights as before.
Yeah, the one that was coming up behind us, looked like the same color as a fire, a campfire, and I thought it was a campfire because I kind of saw it a couple times before he saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, well, damn, it almost looked like somebody was walking through the woods with a torch, you know, because why a campfire doesn't move.
Right.
This was, and you know, I was like, no, we gotta get out of here. And what he was, we're both of us was like, we gotta move, we gotta go. So we skipped out, and yeah, that was our lights.
I will expect you to take me on a journey.
I think you actually been there.
What?
Yeah, I
You don't have
told
to say on the show, but if you give me an instance of what was going on, I might remember.
somebody fell down in the woods, running
Really?
running through the woods. That's where it
Oh,
was.
running through the woods.
Yeah,
Oh, 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 wow. At the
yeah.
end there. But were
Yeah.
you in the woods or were you at the end of the road?
Each times was different times. There was time. The first time I was in the woods. The second time I was standing there on the road, and then
Interesting.
when it came up behind us, I was on the road next to my truck.
That's very interesting. Yeah, the only way we found that is through um I think it was Cliff Barrickman gave coordinates to Shelley.
Yeah,
And I think that's the only way that we were able to get back there.
yeah,
I mean, you know where it is,
yeah,
obviously, but when we were all headed out that night, we didn't know where we were going. All we knew were coordinates. You didn't
yeah.
even know where we were
I
going.
didn't know where we were going until we got there, and I'm like, "Yo, I've been here. I know this place."
Yeah, well, that's interesting. We'll have to head out there again
You know, and
sometime.
I've checked on that, and
Mhm.
it's getting they're doing a lot of cutting the trees down.
Really? That
Yeah,
sucks.
and it was crazy because in that same place I went hunting. I was with Travis,
Mhm.
Brandon, and we had another friend with us, and it was so freaking cold that there was actually ice on the ground. Like I would dare to
Yeah.
say snow. And we were walking down, and I had my AR with me. I had it strapped on me. And when we started getting towards the bottom, because it, if you stand on the road, that area straight, it goes down, and then there's like a creek or something, and then it goes back up. But it's very gradual. And when we started getting towards the bottom, there was this weird like moan that
Hmm.
made everybody freeze. And then I was like, "No, we gotta go." So I started, you know, by this time, especially with an AR strapped on my chest, I get a little brave. And then I got my boys with me, so you know, I was really scared anymore. I started to get a little tougher, you know.
Of course.
And so we walked over there, and we didn't see what it was, but whatever it was leaving some, was like trying to run up the other side, and you could see where the foot was sliding,
Oh,
like
wow.
slide marks, but there was no definition. You know, I couldn't really
Yeah.
tell if there was a toe or, you know, and it was a pretty good size. I mean, it could have been human size, but whatever it was fast as it ran up the other side.
Well, when you were out there the previous two times, do you remember about what time of the year it was?
It was cold.
It was
So
cold
yeah, it was
after
cold.
deer season, most likely.
Most likely after. So I
Yeah.
would probably just say January or yeah, what was it first? Yeah, January.
Okay. It's just that a lot of the stories that I hear about these lights in the woods is it seems to be colder temperatures. And I'm
Yeah, I
not
mean,
saying that that's that's it. That's the secret.
no, I mean,
You
I
know,
would love to know if it was. I would love an explanation. Something as simple as that. Hey, it's just ice ghost or something.
ice ghost.
I don't know. You know, I'd like to know something. I don't know what it is. I know it was weird.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
it's
It re-
probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
it reminds me of the ghost lights of Saratoga on
Yeah.
Bragg Road. Now we're kind of jumping off onto another topic, and that's something that, I hope there's someone out there that has experienced these lights firsthand. I've been out there, gosh, I don't know how many times, and I've never seen the lights. And earlier you were talking about an optical illusion. We had gone out with a group, me and Kenny, we had gone out with the group and we parked our cars and we just started walking down the road. And I don't know if you been out there to Ghost
Mm-mm.
Road?
No.
Oh, I got to take you.
Uh,
Okay, so so it's a dirt road. It's 8 miles long, and we're walking down this road and with no flashlights, no lights, but there's a pretty good moon out. I don't know if it was full, whatever, but we could pretty much see where we were going because of the moon. And directly this light appears in front of us, and I said, "What the F is that?" And the closer it got, the higher my voice got. And I
really?
kept saying, "What the F is that? What the F is that? What the F is that?"
And you sounded like Minnie
And
Mouse?
I'm telling you, and it was the weirdest thing. It looked like it was probably, I don't know, maybe 50 feet in front of us, and it just hung there. And if you know the story of Bragg Road, the legend is now Bragg Road used to be a railroad. Railroad tracks used to go right through there, that on that road. And they've pulled them up since, obviously. But there was I don't know what the title would be for someone who works the tracks when the trains come through, but this guy worked the tracks and he had his lantern and he got too close to the train tracks and got sucked underneath there when the train was coming by, and it decapitated him. And
Wow.
they say that that light is his lantern looking for his head.
Yikes.
Yeah. And so this light literally looks like it's swinging back and forth. So
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
thinking, holy crap, I'm finally going to get to see the ghost lights. I've heard stories my entire life about this place, and I'm going to get to finally see it. So, as I said, my voice is getting higher and higher, and everyone's kind of dazed, and we're all just standing there staring at this light, freaking out. All of a sudden, this light turns into two lights, and we realize, oh, those are car lights from down the road.
Really? Man.
Yes, it was that crazy. And that car was not even 50 feet from us, it was all the way at the end of the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't tell how close and how far I was to these lights. I
Right.
mean, they could have been giant balls of light, and but like I said, there was one we were chasing, and right when it looked like we was about to jump on top of it, I felt like Scooby Doo, like I was about to take off the mask and be like, "Gotcha!" But you know, it
If
it didn't
only it
work out.
was that easy.
Yeah, it wasn't that easy, and then I started to figure out something's wrong. This is
Yeah.
not right. This is not normal.
I've heard the stories from other people about seeing lights. I mean, I'm going back to Bragg Road only because that's all I know. Um, my neighbor, when she was a kid, she's a sheriff's deputy now, so I don't have any reason to believe that she would lie to me. But when she was a kid, her dad and mom took them out to Bragg Road, and she said it sat on top of the hood and passed through the car.
Wow.
So you hear stories like that. I have another friend. His name is Greg. He's told me before about the light chasing him.
Hmm.
Yeah. So he was out there hunting. There's a lot of hunters out there. So I still won't go during hunting season. I'm not about getting shot.
Yeah, there's a lot
But
of bush shooters. My buddy Jeff.
yeah, your buddy Jeff, what?
Yeah, my buddy Jeff calls them bush shooters. Like,
Seriously.
be careful for those bush shooters. I'm like, oh man.
Is it my same buddy Jeff?
Yeah, Stuart.
Yeah. Yep.
He's always got cool little sayings. And
I know he does, doesn't he?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll be able to figure these lights out. I used to always say I'm going to catch one and put it in a jar.
That would be
But,
cool.
well, I have to have the experience first.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. Maybe it's some sort of species of animal running around that can light illuminate, or maybe some sort of bird or something that we haven't discovered. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, I was down there with Daniel. We went during the week, and I mean, there's nobody out there during the week. It's on the weekends that you get the partiers and the people on their four wheelers riding up and down the pipelines. It's typical small town stuff. But I went out there with Daniel, and there was something behind us. We don't know if it was another car, but it never came any closer.
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, he may have it on video. His YouTube channel is called Vortexus, and it might be on that YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping one day. I'm still hopeful, but there's also people that have Bigfoot encounters out there.
Wow.
So it's an all around. There's paranormal. I have a friend that told me he went out to Bragg Road, and they were walking down this road, and something started throwing rocks at them. And so they immediately started doing an EVP session and asking if anyone's here with us. And he started telling me these stories. And I said, wait, just a minute, Brett. That's not paranormal. That sounds like Bigfoot activity.
Hmm.
And he's, what? I said, yeah, something throwing rocks at you. That's Bigfoot behavior. And I'm telling, I can go on and on about stories from Bragg Road concerning Bigfoot. Um, so maybe we'll save that for another time
Yeah.
and get someone on the show who can talk a little bit more about it, who's had actual experiences with Bragg Road. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Somebody that knows a thing or two.
For sure. Well, I'm glad you told us your story, that you shared your story with us, because I knew a little bit about your Bigfoot encounter, but I didn't know the whole thing. And the orbs and the lights that you have seen, that's something very interesting. I think that we should dig a little bit deeper into. But if you have a story that you would like to tell on Mysterious Woods, give us an email. You can email me, Anne, ANNE, at squatchdogs.com, or you can email Big Dog at squatchdogs.com. We hope to see you next time.